First off, I haven't. I have to be guilty. I haven't watched all of Yellowstone. My in-laws loved it. My father-in-law watches it religiously. He's watching all the spin-offs and everything. How much has that changed the consumer's viewpoint of Western life and ranching life? Because it seems like it's just blown up.
Yeah, I think there was concern around this maybe in the beginning, season one or two of, at least in my opinion, of Yellowstone. I think the agriculture industry kind of really, I don't want to say like got up in arms, but I think there were like questions going around, dialogue taking place of like, will this further, misrepresent, misconstrue, give false perception of our industry and what we do. And then I think people started realizing, everyone, whether you were tied to agriculture or not, and tuning into it, that it was a drama piece. I hear people talk about it like kind of the same thing for ER, right? Like our doctors who watched, or the masses that watched ER think that that's exactly what happens to a doctor. And so I do think as it went on more and more, especially as the plots, got a little bit more carried away, I think people were able to better understand like, oh, okay, this is a drama. This isn't like a total accurate representation of agriculture or farming and ranching. But I will say, at least in my personal opinion, for the most part, I have watched all the seasons. I went back since this is the finale. We actually covered it on the podcast. So I went back and watched every single season just this past year. So up until then, I actually hadn't really kept like my finger on the pulse of it. But having rewatched it all, I will say that I do think it, like if you had a balance, the scale would weigh in the favor of like positive perception and connection to the industry. I think Taylor Sheridan has done a wonderful job of, creating this world where people could go view and feel connected to it, take interest in it, want to learn more about it. But then he's done other things. Like he brought it to, he's done a lot with cutting. He's very, very involved and I think very passionate, like just on a personal level, with like the cutting horse industry. And so they've done really cool things like with like Bella Hadid, who is obviously very famous, for obviously a subset of people that are like obsessed with, female culture, pop culture, I guess, modeling. But she's dating someone in the cutting industry. And so they kind of looped her in and they did some really great events that actually showed cutting, and they brought in the Yellowstone cast. And so I do think he's also created kind of this adjacent world that is like tangible and is like focused on Western sports that's been really, really positive. So I have no qualms with them. I know there are things that happen on Yellowstone that is not what happens on my everyday day, on the ranch. But
You
overall,
don't take anyone to the train station, Natalie, at your
yeah,
ranch?
overall, I wish we had a rip to, do all the things we needed done. But overall, I think it would be interesting to know where the industry would be if Yellowstone hadn't taken place, and I don't think it would be as much of a focus and welcomed thing in the industry or in the world right now if it wasn't for Yellowstone.
That's a really good point. Like, I wonder where it would be without that. Because, yeah, the first few seasons, I remember seeing some Facebook comments. They're like, this is not what happens on a ranch. But then later on, people were like, yeah, this is a drama. This is not really, like, one for one what happens. And even stuff, because I know Taylor Sheridan's his new show, Landman, which is about the oil industry. There's also been some comments about that. Like, there was one clip that went viral about him, like, with a monkey wrench trying to turn off something. And everybody was like, dude, his monkey wrench is the wrong way. Like, what is he doing? And then people are like, you realize this is Hollywood, right?
No, that's such a good point because I remember, the same thing with Yellowstone. Like there was like, I think a birthing, a calf being born and everyone in the ranching community and dairy even was like, that is not what happens, whatever. And it's funny because I just started Landman and I saw that same viral clip probably months ago. And it did kind of remind me, like, for us to not get too trapped in that when you're in the industry, because I'm watching Landman and very much enjoying it, very much realizing it's like a dramatization, but also it's making me more curious about like the oil and gas industry and like what goes on. And like Midland's only a couple hours from me, so I'm kind of like, gosh, I should know more about this. And it was, and like, again, a light bulb moment kind of like, this is Yellowstone, but for in the same way that Yellowstone is for agriculture, that it's like, yes, it's over dramatized. Yes, they miss things, but I think us within the industry miss the point. And the point is it connects people back to farming and ranching in a really cool way. And it makes it, we have people that want to, wear the fashions. I saw Ivanka Trump post about her brand new cowboy boots she got this weekend, like it's like such a moment. And so if we're going to like pick apart every detail of like a calf birthing scene, we're just missing the bigger picture here.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, like I know kind of Western life and really ranching life kind of impacted everything after this. Now we've got Beyonce doing country albums, and I would say like it might be because of Yellowstone and kind of the cultural impact that it had.
No, I completely agree. We're just seeing an entire, phenomena that's going on. I mean, Natalie mentioned the cutting horse from, Taylor Sheridan, what he's done there. But like Bella Hadid was a part of a cutting horse event in New York City where they literally shut down the streets of New York City to host like a fashion show / cutting demonstration. And it's like, can you imagine like even 5 years ago thinking about shutting down the streets of New York to have a cutting show? Like it's pretty crazy where we're at.
Yeah, for real. And going off of that, oh shoot, what was I gonna say? Going off of that, I don't know. We'll come back to that. But yeah, that's super cool. I like that. That's wild. The Yellowstone impact has been really cool. It's been felt everywhere. Natalie, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I'm just here for it. I hope the ride continues, through 2025, 2026.
Well, yeah, for real. Yeah. Do you think? Oh, yeah. This wasn't what I was going to talk about. Did y'all watch the Super Bowl yesterday?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, bits and
I was
pieces.
present, yes.
Bits and pieces. Did you see the Tubi commercial, which was kind of about Western life, where the kid
flesh
was
hat.
born? Yeah, he was born with a cowboy hat head, and then
Yeah.
he was made fun of growing up, and other kids had like a wizard shaped hat or shaped head, like a wizard hat shaped head, and then others had like a pirate hat shaped head. And then eventually, as he got older, Western life came around and he was cool again. But it was really weird, but it was kind of cool. I was like, yeah, that's kind of like the Yellowstone impact.
It was scarring a little bit, yes, seeing the fleshy head. But no, I've just noticed even watching, like, there's a couple, Netflix series that are very much targeted, like a Hallmark women's, love story. And I've watched a couple of them. And even then, I feel like I just see Western culture inserted everywhere. Like on one of them, I can think of that the bachelorette party was like a Western themed bachelorette party. And then at the wedding, they were doing like, line dancing, which, you're getting into like stereotypical of, Western culture. But I just feel like everyone has noticed that you're seeing series, TVs, movies, like everyone is latching onto this and trying to bring some sort of Western culture into whatever they're creating. And at the end of the day, as Tara said, that's a win for our industry. Like that's something we should be embracing and applauding.
For real. And I don't know if it came out around the same time as Yellowstone, but even Clarkson's Farm on Amazon is just such
That's
a
Natalie's
good show.
favorite.
It's
love
great.
Clarkson's
I grew up
Farm.
watching him on Top Gear and then Grand Tour on Amazon and now with Clarkson's Farm. He just does a great job of showing you like all the loopholes, all the checks and balances they've got to go through. And I know like it's so much harder to farm over there, it seems like. I'm not saying like US farmers don't have a bad time because they do, but it's just so cool to see him showcase everything with his like Jeremy Clarkson brand of humor.
Yeah, that's something we actually talk about on the podcast a lot is because there was like legislation and policy over there and like what, farmers are up against. And it is a different environment to farm in over there than it is here in the US. But yeah, it's funny that I think one of the most recent times we talked about him, there was actually a farmer protest in was it France the last time we talked about it, Tara? Was that the
Yeah, maybe France.
One of
I
them.
don't know. I feel like it's
But-
like every month there's a new farmer
Yeah,
protest in the EU.
France, Ireland, they're all protesting over
But
there.
it's been neat because Jeremy Clarkson, as obviously has his show and he could stop there, but he doesn't. He is very involved in leading a lot of those protests. He's used his voice to bring awareness to it. Obviously, I think he's put money behind some of that too. And so it's been really cool, I think, to see that he embraced all of it and really became part of the farming community there. It was kind of going viral on X there for a while, like when he was doing a lot of the advocating and speaking. It was like, who knew that Jeremy Clarkson would have been like the most political, like influential person for farming in, 2020, whatever, 3 to 5 or whatever, which is kind of funny, right? We're having these people step up that we never would have thought before. And I think that's obviously really important and needed for the industry too.